If you will obsess over these two sentences, it is virtually impossible for you not to create wealth. I mean, but you can't just like read them and then you're going to be rich. Like, this is not read and grow rich. You can't just think them. You have to actually do it. That's right. I'm going to teach you in this video how to get rich in 2 sentences. I'm going to... Okay, here we go. So, sentence number 1, 2-sentence wealth formula. Okay, if you want to be rich, find out. Do what? Find out what rich people do financially, comma, and do the same things. Now, I know that seems like an oversimplification, but you're going to find out in very short order that is not an oversimplification at all. That's the first sentence. Find out what rich people do financially, comma, and do the same thing, period. If you will do that, it will change your life. But when I say find out, find out, those 2 words may not be strong enough. Maybe I should say, make a study of what rich people do financially, comma, and do the same thing. Perhaps I should say, obsess over what rich people do financially and do the same things. Perhaps I should say, never stop looking for what rich people do financially and do the same things. Okay, sentence number 2 is way more important than sentence number 1. What's sentence number 2? Find out. Do what? Find out what poor people do. What poor people do financially, comma, and whatever else you do. Oops, you. Whatever else you do, don't do that. You have to actually turn this into a study. Okay, so I mean, find out where rich people go to buy their groceries and buy your groceries there. Find out where poor people go. Don't go to those places. I know it sounds ridiculous. I get it. But if creating wealth made sense to you, you'd already be doing it. Like, find out the kind of thoughts they think. Whatever you do, don't think those thoughts. Find out what restaurants they eat at. Like, find out what restaurants poor people eat at. Don't eat at those restaurants. Find out what restaurants rich people eat at. Eat at those restaurants sometimes. Find out where poor people go on vacation. Avoid those spots. Find out where rich people go on vacation. You say, the 3 arenas in which to apply them. Number 1, you have to apply this. You know what? I'm going to use a different color. You have to apply this to your mind. You have to apply these 2 sentences to your mind. Number 2, you have to apply these 2 formulas to your mouth. And number 3, you have to apply these 2 formulas to your money. When you think the thoughts that rich people think, speak the words that rich people speak, and then use your money the way rich people use money, it is virtually impossible for you not to get rich. Like, I don't even see how it's even virtually possible for you to stay poor. I don't even see how it's even likely a possibility that you could stay poor. I know for a fact, like a lot of stuff people believe. So let's start with that. So in the mind, what do we got? I mean, we could literally stay on that one all day. So we're going to start off with your mind. What are we going to do? We're going to figure out what are some things we can do in our minds that rich people do. Okay. So we have to find what rich people believe. I'm telling you, rich people believe something very different than poor people believe. And I remember listening to Jim Rohn Mr. Show said, Mr. Rohn, that's not all they pay. That's all they pay you. Are there people at your job they pay more than they pay you? He said, yes. Well, then that's not all they pay. That's just all they pay you. And he said, Mr. Rohn, if you will change, everything will change for you. I thought, wow, that's really fascinating. If you will change, everything will change for you. Well, one of the things that we have to change is we have to change the things we believe. That's all they pay. One of the things that poor people do with their mind, poor people, in fact, I just got a great idea. I'm going to change this. This just hit me. This is so cool. Since we're going to look at these categories, we might as well do it like this. Rich people, poor people. Okay. With our mind, rich people believe in our leverage. Poor people believe in their limitations. Poor people believe in their limitations. And so one of the things you're going to have to do with your mind is you're going to have to believe in your leverage more than you believe in your limitations. What does that mean? It means you're going to have to believe in your possibilities more than you believe in your problems. You're going to have to believe in your abilities more than you believe in your liabilities. And are your liabilities just you lying about your abilities anyway? Or believing the lies that other people told you about your abilities? And so that's a very big difference in belief. Like, I believe that everything is possible for me. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that everything's possible? And I know some of you right now, even as these words are falling out of my mouth, you're making an excuse for yourself and you're saying, and I'm not judging you, I'm just saying, I know this is how this works because this is how it worked in me when I was you. You're saying, yeah, that's easy for you to say. You make a lot of money. But the reason I make a lot of money is because I became the person for whom that's easy for me to say. Are y'all tracking? Yes. Like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, according to God, the chicken came first, right? So let's don't get it twisted. And so the belief comes before the behavior. The mindset comes before the asset. And so many people don't have the mindset. Like, you have a mindset that's been programmed to you by the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism. Your parents participated in it, your teachers, your pastors, your Sunday school teachers, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, your bosses. They all participated in creating a mindset in you that made sure, inadvertently, they didn't do it intentionally, some of them, inadvertently, that you didn't get too much farther ahead of them, because if you did, it's going to make them feel like they're wasting their life. And some of you, as soon as you get a little bit ahead of the people you love, you start pumping the brakes because you don't want them to feel bad about how good you're doing. Am I telling the truth? Yeah. But see, and I used to do that. I ain't doing that no more. I can't slow down slow enough to make you go faster. Mind-blowingly shocking how much easier it is to make $1 million a year than it is to make 30,000. Like, it's not easy. Making 30,000 a year ain't easy either. So, like, pick your easy, baby. Are y'all tracking? And so you have to adopt some different beliefs. And when you adopt some different beliefs, here's what happens. You develop what I call, this is your superpower right here, by the way. You develop empowered expectations. Empowered expectations will take you anywhere you desire to go. What is an empowered expectation? It's faith that has works. That's what an empowered expectation is. Faith that works is faith that will cause you to work. What do poor people do with their mind? Oh, they have disempowered expectations. They believe the whole world's against them. Let me ask you a question. Do you think there are more people against somebody who's actually accomplishing something, or more people against somebody who's not actually yet even do anything with your life. Like nobody's thinking of, like if you're not doing anything with your life, nobody's attempting to stop you except the culture, except the mechanism itself. The matrix itself has already, it's not even attempting to stop you, it's already got you stopped. Because it's got you believing that the world that you're living in, that the life that you're experiencing is real life. And it's just the real life they programmed you to have. Now, I know I sound like I'm listening to myself while I'm talking, I sound like a whack job. Like, what's wrong with this dude? He half a bubble off. Maybe 3/4 of a bubble off. But you know what? It is what it is. Like, it doesn't cost me any more to believe the stuff I believe than it costs you. Actually, the stuff you believe may be costing you more. And by the way, it cost me a whole lot less to believe what I believe now than it did to believe the stuff that kept me broke for almost 40 years. That stuff cost me a fortune. And what's interesting is, poor people believe that all of the contributing factors are determining factors. And I'm telling you, I'm not minimizing the fact that like difficult things have happened to you. I'm not minimizing that fact. But if you think you're the only one that difficult things have happened to, you are delusional. Everybody's going through tough stuff. That's how you know you're still living. Because you went through some tough stuff. Or maybe right now you're going through some tough stuff. You're like, man, I wish this tough stuff would get over so I could get to the enough stuff. Right? But the reality is, the enough stuff only gets here when you become the person who can stay there when you get there. The purpose of the tough stuff is to turn you into the person. What person? The person you're resisting becoming right now. We have all of these internal limitations that we believe and attempt to get other people to believe are external limitations. And we buy the lie and it costs us everything. And I'm telling you, poor people and rich people use their mind for very different things. Rich people we use our minds to focus on intention. And the reality is we hyper-focus on intention. I'm going to define intention. Hyper-focus on intention. What does that mean? I'm going to give you the Myron Golden definition of intention. You ready? Anything that moves the needle in your favor. If it does not move the needle in your favor, it's not intention. Poor people, hyper-focus on distraction. This word is so fascinating. Distraction is one of the main tools of the enemy. Do you understand the purpose of professional sports? It's a psychological anesthesia to lull you into a state of asleepness so that you do not feel the pain of them extracting all of the beauty from your future. That's why it exists. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just going to ask you the question. Does it make sense to be cheering for people who don't know you to win a game that doesn't matter and you can't pay your light bill? You can't educate your children the way you desire to. You can't take a family vacation, but you're jumping up and down because a full-grown man ran over another full-grown man over a pigskin filled with air. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to watch a movie. You're broke and you're watching a movie. You're broke and you're watching a movie. I want you to feel the pain of that statement. You're broke and watching a movie. You're watching people who are rich pretend to be people who don't exist to distract you from intention in your life, from making your life better for generations, your family's life better for generations. And you're watching fake people live fake lives to create real feelings in you that anesthetize you from the fact that your life isn't working. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying I like movies. Difference between me and you is I can afford to watch them now. And when I couldn't, I didn't. You don't understand. I was so hyper-focused on intention. I didn't listen to music. I didn't watch television. I didn't go to games. I didn't watch games. I didn't care who won if I was losing. Hyper-focus on intention Instead of hyper-focusing on distraction, it'll change your life for the rest of your life. What's a distraction? Anything that doesn't move the needle in your favor. People say, I'm just not good at names. I'm just not good at sales. I'm just not good at technology. I just don't know how to use a computer. What does that even mean? When you were born, you didn't know how to do anything. Were we just going to leave you in the crib forever? But guess what? Let's take it a step. That right there will change your life. Okay, let's take it a step further. We got to do some different stuff with our mouth. You want to do something that will really impact your life in a great way? Increase your vocabulary in whatever language you speak. For me, it's English. But increase your vocabulary. And then be very intentional about the words that you speak. Stop using profanity. I know. People, it's a pattern interrupt. No, it's just the pattern now. There's no interrupt. But what else it is, it's a demonstration of verbal and mental laziness. What does that mean? You're not saying what you actually mean. You're saying a replacement of that. Now a person has to use bandwidth to figure out what you mean, and then what the euphemism meant, and then figure out what your intention was in the statement in the first place. You're causing people to work way too hard to understand what you mean. One of the things that I do intentionally is when I'm talking about something, when I use a word so that I'm not misunderstood, I'll define that word. Don't use, even though it's not profanity, it feels the same to me. Okay, what does that mean? Do you try to wake up in the morning, or do you just wake up? I'm going to go try to take a shower. Nobody ever says that. Do they? Did you ever? When you use your mouth, use positive words. Instead of using what poor people use, negative words. Rich people use their words to create ideas. Poor people use their words to complain and blame. Let me ask you, right? Remember I talked about contributing factors and determining factors? Okay. How many of you have ever attempted to control another human being in some way? Come on now, let's be honest. Okay, we're my people. Okay. Well, how many of you spend all your time with you? Like you spend all your time with yourself? That's you. Okay, good. There's not like a second that goes by that you ain't with you. Okay, cool. How many of you have struggled getting yourself to change something about you? Well, that ought to let you know how impossible it is for you to change some other human being. Which tells us what? Well, one of the things it tells us is that all the contributing factors, in other words, there are evil people in the world. Racism is real, but it's not the reason you're stuck. Government corruption is real, but it's not the reason you're broke. There are evil rich people in the world, but they're not the reason you're poor. Because contributing factors are all outside of us. I had polio as an infant. Because of segregation, I was born in a segregated hospital. That was a contributing factor, not a determining factor. And it contributed to my life. It contributed to the difficulty of my life, but everything that contributes to the difficulty of your life also contributes to the strength of your life. Unless you resist. And then the things that contribute to the difficulty of your life also contribute to the weakness of your life, because the weakness of your life is that you complain and blame. You're always looking for the reason, and it's always outside of you. And I am telling you, the reason is also always inside of us. I can't control everything. You can't control everything. But here's what you can control. You can control what you're going to focus on, what things mean to you, and what you're going to do next. You can always control that. Poor people think the primary purpose of money is to pay bills. They think that's the primary purpose of money. So they're always holding on to as much as they can so that it doesn't go away before it's time for them to pay their bills. Are y'all tracking? We, like rich people, here's what we believe. We believe the primary purpose of money is turning it into more money. So when I get $1, I'm going to do everything in my power to turn it into 2 or 10 before any of that $1 goes out. I get $100, I'm gonna turn that $100 into 200, 300, 400, 500, 10, 1,000 before I spend any of it. In my book, I said, I wanna hold on to my money long enough for it to get pregnant and have some babies. I don't spend the mama money, I only spend the baby money. I am telling you, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. These two sentences will make you rich. Not kind of rich, not sort of rich, but rich beyond your wildest imagination. Find out what rich people do financially and do the same things, period. Find out what poor people do financially, comma, and whatever else you do, don't do that. Congratulations, you're a millionaire.